Massachusetts. So we passed some pretty interesting measures here in November. This is a big one. This is equivalent to Bernie Sanders' wealth tax, Elizabeth Warren wealth tax, millionaire tax, whatever you want to call it, but you guys get the point. Massachusetts tax on income above 1 million for education and transportation amendment. A yes vote supports amending the state constitution to create an additional income tax of 4% for income over 1 million. In addition to the existing 5% flat rate income tax, and dedicate revenue to education and transportation services. Now, this is huge. Do I think it should be more than 4%? Absolutely. But hey, it's a start. There are a lot of millionaires that live here in Massachusetts. Last time I checked, I think it's over 200,000 that live in this state alone. So this can greatly help out education in this state. Yes, we're number one in public education, but let's be real. We do have low income areas here where the schools are not heavily resourced and they do need more funding. And in reference to transportation, if you don't live here or if you haven't been here and had to ever deal with public transportation here, you know that it is severely underfunded and lacking in this state. We have a subway system. We have buses as well. We also have a commuter rail, but it doesn't go to some of the cities and towns that it needs to go to. And if you don't have the income to live in those areas where there are subway stops, you're kind of screwed. It's just the reality. It's not 24/7 like New York City subway service. Last call, I think, for buses is 1 a.m. For subways, I think is 12:48. It's just, it's not ideal, especially for younger people who want to go out to the bars or the clubs at night. A lot of times you end up taking an Uber or a Lyft back home because the taxis are horrible. Let's get into it. So, how did question one change Massachusetts income tax rate? The tax is levied in addition to the state's 5% flat income tax for a total tax rate of 9% on income above 1 million. The amendment also authorized the 1 million threshold to be adjusted according to any changes in the cost of living in Massachusetts using the same method used to establish federal income brackets. Now, this is not the first time that this measure has been put forth. It was also a ballot measure 2018. Unfortunately, it did not go through. I'm not going to read all of that, but that's all you need to know. We tried this before and it did not pass. So this passed by 52.26%. This was very close. If you were following me during the time when I was talking about the ballot initiatives, I believe this was the night of the midterm results. We were waiting for that. I was covering some of these initiatives. This was the one that I was closely watching because it was so close at that point in time, but it squeaked by. Squeakity squeak. So that passed. So that's a plus. Make the rich pay. You know how we do what we do. Who supported that? The Fair Share Massachusetts published a list of endorsements. Officials that supported it was Ed Markey, Elizabeth Warren, of course, this is kind of her thing, Karen Spilka, Adrian Madero, Ronald Mariano, James O'Day, and at the time, she was our Attorney General Maura Healey. She is now our governor. Candidates that supported it, Benjamin Downing, who is actually was one of the gubernatorial candidates as well. Government entities, Springfield City Council. Springfield is another city that is desperately in need of funding. Unions, American Federation of Teachers, of course, because this supports education. Massachusetts Teachers Association and the SEIU, Massachusetts State Council. Organizations, Greater Newburyport Anti-Racism Affinity Group, Merrimack Valley Project, Raise Up Massachusetts, and Unitarian Universalist Mass Action. So here are one of the arguments that I want to mention is from Marie Frances Rivera. She said the pandemic shown us in real time what the effects of chronic disinvestment in communities of color and low income communities around the state actually look like. This is true. This is something I brought up before, that the pandemic basically pulled the cover off of these inequities that were here all along. So I'm glad that bad boy passed. Now, there were endorsements. What happened to the door? Oh, people who endorsed it. Oh, these are the people who, yeah, the following is an argument in support of question 1 found in the official voter information. Yeah. Okay, the people who supported or against it. Yeah, of course. Like these were the Republican candidate, like Mark Lombardo, Jeff Deal. This guy has run for office twice here, 2 election cycles in a row. He ran against Elizabeth Warren for Senate. He obviously did not win, and he ran again in Massachusetts for governor this time. He is a Trump Republican, and that does not do well in Massachusetts. So there's that. And State Representative James Lyons Jr., also who was against it, Associated Industries of Massachusetts, Boston Chamber of Commerce, Citizens for Limited Taxation, of course, Massachusetts Seafood Collaborative, Pioneer Institute, Retailers Association of Massachusetts. Okay, let's get to the next one. There's a lot of arguments made here, but I do have a limited amount of time tonight. Now, with this ballot initiative, yes, there was money, campaign finance money that was thrown in to support it and was thrown in to oppose it. As you can see, there was a lot of money spent. Again, I look at this and I say, this is money that could be invested back into the communities, but no, they spend money on trying to challenge initiatives. It's really interesting to me. Let's go on to the next one. We're going to do one more for Massachusetts, and then I'm going to pick up Massachusetts on Thursday, because there's 4 of them. I'm going to do one more. This is another big one that passed. Massachusetts medical loss ratios for dental insurance plans initiative. So this was another one that I thought was pretty dear to my heart, because let's be real. Some people, they have health insurance with their employer, but their employer may not have or offer dental insurance. This does happen. It's unfortunate. It's like people, for whatever reason, seem to think that your teeth don't matter. Somebody should make a t-shirt that says teeth matter. Damn it. You go to a dentist's office, if they have that slogan somewhere, it might make me feel a little bit better and a little less nervous about going to see the dentist, because I hate when I have to go see the dentist. I don't like the sound of the instruments that they are putting in my mouth. Put it in my mouth. I'm so sorry. I'm bad tonight. I'm horrible. Okay. Number 2, Massachusetts medical loss ratios for dental insurance plans initiative. This did pass by 71.60%. A yes vote supported this ballot initiative too. Require dental insurance carriers to meet a medical loss ratio of 83% and require the insurer to refund the excess premium to its covered individuals and covered groups. 2, require dental insurance carriers to submit an annual comprehensive financial statement to the Division of Insurance. And 3, authorize the commissioner of the Division of Insurance to approve or disapprove of any insurance rates. Without even reading this part, there's something else I can tell you as well. You know how like you may have like a dental insurance plan, but you have a deductible. There's a certain amount that the insurance company will pay, but you have to reach it by the end of the year. Or you have benefits that you have to use by the end of the calendar year. If you don't use it, you lose it. One of the things that this ballot measure also did is that if that were you and you didn't get a chance to use all of your benefits for that calendar year, you can still do so the next calendar year. So I think that's important, because sometimes you just don't, if you're just going to get cleanings and the cleanings are free, you're not using that. You know, you're just not using it. It just is what it is. All right, let's go back in here. The measure was designed to require carriers to file group insurance plan base rates, any changes to the group rating factors that will take effect in the next calendar year in July of the preceding year. The commissioner became authorized to approve or disapprove of any product rates. Now, what is a medical loss ratio? An MLR is the portion of premium revenue that a healthcare insurance company spends on claims, medical care, and healthcare quality for its customers in relation of administrative costs. Under Obamacare, health insurance companies were required to limit the portion of revenue that goes towards overhead and profit. Individual and small group insurers were required to maintain a minimum medical loss ratio of 80%, while large group insurers were required to maintain a minimum MLR of 85%. Since 2015, Massachusetts law set the medical loss ratio for small or individual health insurance plans at 88%, and for large group plans, the medical loss ratio aligns with the federal at 85%. In 2019, the National Association of Dental Plans conducted a survey that found the average medical loss ratio for dental insurance plans in Massachusetts was 75.9%. So, who supported it? This was supported by the Alliance of Independent Dentists in Massachusetts. That makes sense. They're independent. Association of Independent Dentists, Massachusetts Association of Orthodontists, Massachusetts Society of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, Medicaid Orthodontist of Massachusetts Association, organizations, American Dental Association, and Massachusetts Dental Society. Now, here's one of the arguments that I do want to highlight, and this is from Diane Murad, who is a lobbyist working with the Ballot Question Committee. A yes vote would help fix a broken system in which insurance companies benefit from denying claims and limiting coverage. Can you guess who paid money to oppose this ballot measure? Insurance companies. That's right. Insurance mafia extortionists. Yes, they spent a lot of money to oppose it, to convince people to vote no. You know why? Because these insurance companies don't want to pay. Isn't that a mess? Isn't it a hot mess? So yes, I'm super excited that this passed. Again, who opposed it? Dental Service of Massachusetts. Here go the insurance companies. Metropolitan Life Insurance, Principal Life Insurance, Sun Financial, and United Concordia Companies. Isn't that something? How much money was spent? You can see here in support, total contributions, and opposed contributions. So they spent millions of dollars towards this initiative. Massachusetts changes to alcohol retail licensing initiative. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay, a yes vote supported this ballot initiative to incrementally increase the combined number of retail beer and wine licenses and all alcoholic beverage licenses, including liquor, an establishment could own from no more than 9 in 2022 to no more than 18 by 2031. Limit the maximum number of licenses for sale of all alcoholic beverages an establishment could own to 7. Prohibit in-store automated or self-checkout sales of alcohol. Change the formula used to calculate fines by using gross profits on all retail sales rather than gross profits on the sale of alcohol. And add out-of-state driver's licenses to the list of approved identification under State Liquor Control Act. I want to talk about that last piece here about the out-of-state driver's licenses. This was new to me when I moved to Massachusetts, but apparently, technically, in Massachusetts, out-of-state driver's licenses are actually not considered to be approved for alcohol sales in Massachusetts. It's really weird considering we have a lot of colleges in Massachusetts and there's a lot of out-of-state students as well as international students. So they can refuse sale to you if you are from New Jersey per se, and you have an out-of-state New Jersey driver's license. They can do it. From my experience, most people I've encountered are not doing this, but if they wanted to, they could, right? So how can you get around that? One of the things that you can do is you can use your passport instead if you have a passport, but it can be a pain in the neck for you if you have an out-of-state driver's license and you're either visiting here or you just moved here for college or something like that. It's a weird rule. I've never encountered that before. But this initiative in particular primarily has to deal with licenses and how many you can have. This measure did not pass. The vote was 55.10%. That one's a close one. I think some people were confused about the wording of this as well, but I think it's important to talk about what it would have done. What would question 3 have done? It would have incrementally increased the statewide limit on the combined number of retail alcohol licenses an establishment could have, which includes licenses for all alcoholic beverages, including liquor, wine, malt, and beer. Here were the increases that would have happened from 9 licenses to 12 by January 1st, 2023, which would have already happened, from 12 to 15 by January 1st, 2027, and from 15 to 18 by January 1st, 2031. Massachusetts is an interesting state. Like, in some ways it can be progressive in the sense that we did legalize, marijuana here. We were the first state to do so on the East Coast. And we did also implement cannabis shops here, which are doing very well financially, by the way. But at the same time, there are still some of these old school, like Puritan laws when it comes to alcohol. Like, for example, you cannot purchase beer or any other type of alcohol on Sundays in Massachusetts until after a certain time, right? Outlaw. Happy hour was removed from Boston. That was done by Mayor Menino. So if you go to a bar or something here and they say happy hour, they're talking about food. We don't have happy hour for alcohol. That was something that Mayor Menino did away with. So it's weird. It's like in some ways, Massachusetts will be somewhat progressive, but in other ways, it still has these old school, like Puritan elements to it, which never really made much sense to me. I still never really figured that out. And I've been here for almost 11 years. So that's that. Now, who supported this? Save More Spirits supported it. That's a liquor store here. And Massachusetts Package Stores Association. So alcohol stores here are called package stores. That was new to me when I moved here. I didn't understand what people meant when they were like, let's go to the package store. And I was like, I don't need any packages. So that was kind of weird to me. Other states I've lived in called them ABC stores, which is alcohol beverage containers. So that's what they're referring to when they say Package Stores Association. And here's one of the arguments. Why vote yes on question 3? Balance will be restored by decreasing the number of full liquor licenses allowed by an individual or corporation from 9 to 7, while progressively increasing the number of beer and wine licenses from 9 to 18, minus any full liquor licenses owned by the corporation or individual. To improve public safety, self-checkout of alcohol beverages will be prohibited, and a fine for selling to a minor will be based on gross sales, not just for alcohol beverages. The initiative petition also helps the entire alcohol beverage industry by allowing for valid out-of-state IDs to be relied upon. Massachusetts is the only state in the U.S. that does not permit a retailer to reasonably rely on valid out-of-state IDs. So what did I tell you there? I told you I'd never heard of this before until I moved to Massachusetts. So that will help people that are out of state visitors and those that are out of state college students as well. Now, who opposed it? Food stores for consumer choice. Also, Cumberland Farms, that's a chain here. Total Wine, which is also a chain. Unions that opposed it: Massachusetts Food Association, New England Convenience Store and Energy Marketers Association, and Retailers Association of Massachusetts. And here's one of the arguments from John, who's the president of the Retailers Association of Massachusetts. If you're a package store, you're going to take a fine in order to stay open. But if you're a convenience store or a food store and all of a sudden you're going from being fined on your alcohol sales to your food and gasoline, you can't shut down and stop selling gasoline and food to your customers. You can't have that exorbitant fine. You just stop selling alcohol, and that was the intent. So again, this measure did not pass. There was campaign finance money spent to support and oppose this initiative. Only $12.50 was spent to oppose it. So that's really interesting. And of course, over $1 million was spent to support it. So interesting there with the alcohol laws. And the last one that I do want to cover, this one was upheld. It's the Massachusetts App-Based Drivers as Contractors and Labor Policy Initiative. This one's big if you are one of those drivers. A yes vote was to uphold House Bill 4805, which allows applicants who cannot verify citizenship or immigration status to submit certain forms of identification to obtain a driver's license or a motor vehicle registration. This was upheld. So this is not something that we would say, passed or failed. It was already in place and the vote was to keep it in place. But it was upheld by 53.93%. What does question 4 do? Question 4 was a veto referendum. It was repealed. It repealed the provision of state law that says no license of any type may be issued to a person who does not have a lawful presence in the United States. The proposed law prohibited registrars from inquiring about an applicant's citizenship or immigration status when applying for a driver's license or motor vehicle registration. It also authorized registrars to accept certain documents to verify the identity and the date of birth of an applicant. H 4805 required one of the documents to be either a valid, unexpired foreign passport or a valid, unexpired consular identification document. The bill required the second document to be a valid, unexpired driver's license from any U.S. state or territory, an original or certified copy of a birth certificate, a valid, unexpired foreign national identification card, a valid, unexpired foreign driver's license, or a marriage certificate or divorce decree issued by any state or territory of the United States. Any information or communication provided by an applicant to the Registrar of Motor Vehicles, including not providing proof of lawful presence, would not be considered public record, nor be disclosed by the registrar except as required by federal law. This law was designed to take effect on July 1st, 2023. So the idea to support this was for safer roads. Who supported it? Senate President Karen Spilka, State Representative Tricia Farley Bouvier, House Speaker Ronald Mariano, Attorney General Maura Healey, who, by the way, now Maura Healey is now our governor. So just keep in mind, last year when this was proposed, she was the Attorney General. Unions, SEIU, Local 32B, and SEIU, Massachusetts State Council. Organizations, ACLU of Massachusetts. What are some of the arguments? Unfortunately, collectively punishing all undocumented people in Massachusetts by taking away their ability to obtain a driver's license will only leave the door open for more fatalities. leaving Massachusetts less fair and secure. Who supported the no vote? That was Governor Charlie Baker, our former governor, Senate Representative Colleen Gary, State Representative Mark Lombardo. Candidates Cecilia Calabrese and Jeff Deal. Now, Jeff Deal ran against Elizabeth Warren for her first Senate race, and he also ran for governor this time around as well. He's a Trump Republican. He's lost every time. I don't know why this guy keeps running. But that is that. And also State Senator Dean Tran, who was a former official, also supported the no vote. The argument, I do not think that we should be rewarding people for being in the country illegally. I think the RMV is not equipped to properly vet people coming into the United States from over 100 different countries. And there was, as you can see, over $3 million spent to support it and over $200,000 to oppose it.